The purpose of this video is to walk you through this week's assignment. This week's assignment is the first half of a two-part one. And that is, this week we're going to create some variables that then next week we're going to run some descriptive statistics on. So for this week, the assignment is to create two variables that are nominal, two ordinal variables, and two interval or ratio variables. Now, as you know from the reading, interval and ratio are different things. However, for the most part, the statistics for both are run very similarly. And so for the purposes of this class, we're going to just run as if interval and ratio variables are handled the same. So for this assignment, we need two nominal, two ordinal, and two interval ratio. So for the example, I'm going to do zinnias. We had a student recently do a research project looking at the effect of different mulches and cover crops on zinnia production. So I think this is pretty pertinent right now. So first off, the first type of variables we'll make are the nominal variables. Two of those. So for the first one, we need something that can fit into categories. Nominal variables are categories, or things that are counted. And so in relation to zinnias, we have a couple different options. The first category, let's just do color of zinnia. And for the second one, let's do bloom type. And then for the options for color, we can have pinks, orange, and white. And notice I'm just making this all up as we go. I picked a research area of interest to me, and I ran with it. And that's what I want you guys to do. A lot of this data stuff you'll have the chance to practice on data sets meaningful to you, and I think that's a way to get the most benefit from this class. And then so for bloom type, let's do, there's several different ways zinnias can bloom. One of them is the cactus blooms. One of them are dahlia blooms. And then scabosia. Or scabiosa. It doesn't matter that you don't have any idea what this is. But just be thinking about something within your own research or your own interest that can be categorized into groups. The next step, we need some ordinal variables. And as you know, ordinal variables are things that can be put in order. So for this example, I'm going to do, let's do height. Now, in flower production, the different heights of flowers have different uses. So for this example, let's call them tall. So to do the flowers at the back of a flower bed, we'll have some mid-height ones. Then we'll have some short ones that be at the front. And then let's have ground cover ones, the very shortest ones. And then for the other one, let's do flower type. Again, however, this is ordinal, so we need things that can be put in order. So in relation to this study here, zinnias, we can do flower type in the order of complexity. So we can have single flowers, also called simple flowers. We can have double flowers. And we can have full double flowers, where all the flowers are double. And so as you see, they build on one another. And that's the key characteristic of ordinal level variables. But notice also within ordinal level variables, the gaps aren't necessarily even. So if you go back to the height example for the ordinal variable, we don't know if the height difference between a tall and a mid is the same as the height difference between a mid and a short, or a short and a ground cover. The gaps can all be different sizes, and they're not defined within ordinal variables. And that's when our final type of variable, interval and ratio variables, really shine, and that is that the gaps are going to be equal. And for this one, the easiest things to do, I think, are going to be height in inches. For one, and then let's do days to bloom. Alright, so that's the hard part. The hard part is picking out what variables you're going to do. From there, we need to put in our data. And so there's a million different ways to do this. I'll show you one way, and it's okay if you have a different way. But I think that the first thing to do is to make a column that's going to number your plots. So for this one, let's say we had 30 different plots of zinnias. These are going to be small plots, of course. For your example, it doesn't matter whether your individual is a single plant or a single steer or a single measurement, or it doesn't matter, but you need to have 30 observations total. So let's call this one plot. Let's number them 1 through 30. Okay, so we have 30 plots we're going to collect data on. And then for each of these variables, we need to populate it with data. And once again, there's a million different ways to do this, and it's totally up to you with what you do. I find the easiest way to do is just to do a random number generator and then number your categories. So for this one, for the nominal variable, I chose color, and then the options I just arbitrarily chose are going to be pink, orange, and white. So I've got 3 options. So if I go down to my first measurement, I can do an equal sign, and then the function I'll use is called rand between, left parentheses, and then since I have the 3 arbitrarily chosen color categories, I need 3 random numbers. So I go rand between 1 and 3 and push enter. And so it picked a random number for me. This has an extra set of parentheses. Let me get rid of that for you. There you go. And so it picked a random number. Now notice when I pushed enter, it picked a new random number, and I'll help you with that here in just a second. So then I want this in all my cells. So the easiest way to do is to hold shift and the down arrow and go down to the bottom, and then do Control D, and that'll populate that whole row with that same function. There you have it. There's our 3 random bloom colors designated by 1, 2, and 3. And then so I can go and do that for the other ones. For bloom type, we have the 3 options as well. So I can just copy that over and copy it down. Okay, now notice that anytime we do anything, the numbers jump. Anytime we click on a cell and get out of it, the whole sheet recalculates. And so to get around that, there's an easy trick. After you get all your functions put in and all the random numbers have been assigned, what you can do, you can copy all the random numbers. I'm going to highlight them. Then I'll push Control C, and then I'll go up here to paste, and I'll do paste special, and I'm going to pick values only right here. And then I'm going to click OK. So once again, to repeat, I highlighted the selection that contained all of the rand between functions. I copied it using Control C, and now I went to paste, chose paste special, and within that paste special box, I chose values. And then I'll click OK. And what that does, that pastes everything back in without the functions behind it. So those values won't jump anymore. Now don't do that until you're absolutely certain you're not going to want to recalculate all those random numbers. But that'll make them quit jumping. So for our next one, we have the ordinal level variables, and I chose height, measured by tall, mid, short, and ground cover, and also the flower type, which was single, double, and full double. Now notice each of those can be put in order, but the difference between the different categories is maybe not the same for each one. So for example, there's a huge difference between getting single blooms and double blooms, but the difference between a double bloom and a full double bloom is tiny. So let's put the random numbers in here. For height, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 options. So I'm going to do equals, rand between, 1, 4, and enter. And then this one, we did 3 options for that. So I'll do equal, rand between, 3 options, and enter. And then I'll highlight both those critters and highlight my column all the way down. And I'll do Control plus D, and that'll fill that down. And then for the interval ratio ones, we did height, and we did days to bloom from direct sow. And so it's the same deal on this one. I'll do equals, rand between. And then for height, let's see. I'm going to measure it in inches for height. It'll be between, realistically, it'll be between 12 and 60. There we go. And then to do days to bloom, realistically, that'll be between that'll be between about 45 and 120. There we go. And I'll copy these critters and highlight my row down. Do Control D. And then, as you see, anytime we click on a cell and click out of it, it'll recalculate all those values and it'll make it crazy in a hurry. So we need to lock those in. So I'll highlight them. And to push, once you're highlighting, when you push Shift Control down, that'll highlight all the way down to your last used cell. And that's kind of a handy function. And that's Control plus Shift, and then you push the down arrow. And then once here, we're going to copy using Control C, and then we'll paste. Oops. Copied using Control C, and then we'll paste special. And then I'm going to click values, and then click OK. And there you have it. Now our final step is to make this readable by the average human being, because you never know. Maybe you'll get lucky and have a grad student to help you code your data. And so we need to designate what each of these critters means. And so just up here in my notes, I'm going to type 1 equals pink, 2 equals orange, and 3 equals white. There you have it. And then the same for the bloom types. And notice, I'm just choosing these arbitrarily. It matters very little what you choose. It matters very much that you remember what you choose. All right, guys. So then I will go through and designate that for each of the other columns. All right, next up, I'm going to show you guys a neat trick for displaying the labels in all of your cells, but that's a trick for another video. So until then, have a great week, and I look forward to talking to you.